And welcome in one and all. I am Flying Ryan Gilchrist, along with, as always,
Tampa Motormouth, Joel Verlin.
And we are here to mock draft. That is why we have our 4-screen layout, so we can kind of see the draft board here. I'm testing the headset out because as we are doing the 2 drafts live tomorrow, I will be out of the state that I am normally in, which is Florida. I'll be in Massachusetts doing these drafts. We'll be podcasting live. I've got 2 laptops, a camera, an extra camera packed.
Good thing you're not going to Louisiana.
Yes, part of my job does involve monitoring tropical systems. And of course, this thing is convenient. It's going to develop the first day of my vacation, which is today, and it's going to hit land the last day of my vacation. So I technically will have to work at least a little bit my entire vacation. So thank you, Tropical Storm Ida, which will probably be hurricane, which will probably major hurricane Ida before too long. But we're not here to talk weather. We could do that on, a whole nother show. But we won't. So we're here to mock draft. We've already done a random number generator. I got pick number 5. Joel got pick number 9. We're going to mock our 16-team draft. We're doing this on
like that old Beatles song, number 9, number 9, number 9.
We are doing this on Sleeper. This will not take very long to actually do the draft, but it'll give us some time to recap when we're done.
Unlike tomorrow's drafts.
Unlike tomorrow's 16-team draft, which will probably take at least an hour and a half, if not close to 2 hours. It's going to be a very long podcasting evening. Yes, indeed. It was last year. And since the drafts went so well last year, we're like, hey, we should do that again because it worked so well for us. That is sarcasm. So,
hashtag sarcasm.
So again, this is going to be a 16-team PPR snake draft, 15 rounds.
Which we never do on the shuffle at all.
Yeah, no, never. So let's see. Draft settings, just to go over it. Roster settings, we will have quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end. Let's do 1 flex, and we'll add in a defense, and we will change this to a kicker. We'll try and mock, try to add missing position, a cricker, and so we will be...
Does a kicker have a different scoring system than a kicker?
Yeah, pretty much. So 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, a flex, a kicker, and a defense, which is the exact layout of our 16-team league. And this will go as a point per reception draft, just like our 16-teamer. And that is what we're going to do. So with that being said, we are going to hit start draft in just a second. All of the green emblems at the top will be computer generated, but on Sleeper, they're not complete and total morons. They will not be taking kickers in the 5th and 6th round to fill their starting lineup. They will actually pick relatively smart. So with that, I'm going to hit start draft. We'll try and recap as it goes. It's going to go pretty quick. McCaffrey, Cook, Henry, Kamara, as it falls to me at number 5. That is going to be a Zeke Elliott pick on my part. Adams, Barkley, Chubb, then to Joel. Who goes Taylor? And we're coming around Kelsey off the board at 12.
Because I could have gone Tyreek Hill, but...
You could have, but you didn't. Unfortunately, if I zoom out far enough for everybody to see what's going on, you can't really see what's going on.
Trying to decide between Justin Jefferson, George Kittle. I know Hilaire is not a good choice right now. Well, let's just do the don't blink thing.
That is Justin Jefferson. Of course, the thing wanted to have a little bit of a fit there. So we will take, let's go Mike Evans. Terry McLaurin. Let's go Terry McLaurin. We'll do something a little bit different. I don't often get Terry McLaurin. We will see if that works out. I'm hoping to get a running back here. Then the person I wanted did not fall to me. So let's see.
Usually the people picking take a lot longer than this.
Yes, this draft is going a lot faster than the one tomorrow. I'm going to take Chris Godwin there at my third pick. So I've got Zeke Elliott, Terry McLaurin, and Chris Godwin. Joel with Jonathan Taylor, Justin Jefferson, and with his next pick will be scrolling.
I seem to be fated to have Kyle Pitts in the third round this year.
That seems, I mean, it's a 16-teamer. Guys are going to go earlier in the round number, but it's up to you. I mean, Kyle Pitts is the next one based on ADP, based on the sleeper
Because you also have Julio Jones and Amari Cooper, who might be a bit of a reach, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll go the.
So you did take Kyle Pitts. So Taylor, Jefferson, Pitts to start off. Can't see the turn because the screen is not wide enough as it's starting to come back to Joel. Herbert in the fourth round. Hawkinson right before Joel. So Joel will be up. Next on the ADP list is Tyler Lockett, Myles Gaskin, Prescott, James Robinson, all in the next few picks, it looks like. What is Joel going to do here? He's really got an open slate because he's only got one running back and one receiver. And he went Myles Gaskin, which not my favorite pick because that kind of pigeonholes me into taking a running back like Javonte Williams that I'm not super thrilled with in the fourth round. It's very tough in a 16-teamer to come out of a draft very happy, I think. And back to me already. Let's go with a little Claypool. I said I was high on him. I'm going to have to stick with my word here a little bit. Joel up. 2 running backs, 1 receiver, and 1 tight end selected so far. Tomorrow's draft being slower, we can go over the picks. We'll have a little bit more time to cover what's going on between our picks because, well, most picks will take 20 to 30 seconds as the computer does it in about 1 second each.
Probably going to be not good with running back depth with this draft.
No. In a 16-teamer, you really got to get lucky. If you want any kind of depth at the running back position, we are going into round number 6. Joel with 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a tight end. And he goes with Trey Sermon. I like the pick there. I am going to take the recently promoted to number 1 exclusively Damian Harris, as much as I don't like the Patriots and their running back typical playbook. We're going to go that way. So this is where it gets interesting because I could take David Johnson, who will be a number 1 running back, or, and this is something interesting, I could go for a tight end here. I think I'm going to get that last starting running back, really solidify that position, give myself enough depth with Zeke, Williams, Harris, and David Johnson that I feel at least comfortable most weeks. And coincidentally, none of the bye weeks lined up for those 4. The question I have is which one of us is going to break the seal on the quarterback first? Joel up in the 7th round. Joel halfway through his time takes Robert Tunyon. Someone I was actually considering. So 2 tight ends already for Joel. Not a bad thing there. And back to Joel once again.
Okay, kind of crazy pick, but.
And he's going to go early with the Ravens defense. Not a pick I would have done there. I think at this point you got to maybe start leaning towards a quarterback. I still need a tight end. So I'm going to go and get, I think now is a good time to grab at least a quarterback option. I'm high on Mayfield. I'll take a shot on him.
Yeah, because when you're in the 9 position, you're not really in the snake position, so you can't like boom, boom.
Yeah, it is definitely a tough position to be in. Yeah, they want you to go defense. I'm not going to go defense. I'm going to get another receiver here. Joel with Justin Fields. Back to Joel in the 10th round.
Ugh.
Yeah, it gets a little tough. This is not an easy draft later.
Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins? Gee, it's too much of a reach at this point.
Yeah, you can wait a little bit on Tua.
There goes Ryan.
Here we go. Back to me. I really think I got to go. Let's go get Jared Cook, a tight end. That's something I needed. That fills out most of my starting lineup. Probably not a bad idea to get a second quarterback here just because I know a 16-teamer, it's going to go quick. Right now, 4 running backs for me. I've got 4 receivers, so I'm in pretty good shape all around on that front.
I just don't trust Fitzmagic.
No, it's tough. I think Wilson's got better upside. But with that being said, you never really know. Back to Joel once again.
We'll take the disappointing waiver pick.
All right, Devontae Booker. Let's see what is on the waivers. What is here? Well, you know what? Sony Michel should not be on this list still. So we're going to take Sony Michel. Round 12 could be a great pick there. With this one, last bench position before we go into kicker and defense. So let's see who on this list do I actually like. There's not much out there. I'm not going to take Tim Tebow, who was on it. So let's go with Ferksker. Really no good reason for it. Just he's there. Backup tight end. Not something you normally draft, but it's a mock draft. We're going to have a little bit of a different mentality in a mock draft than a real one.
There's Tim Tebow
at Tebow.
At 201.
Yeah, he will not play, I don't think.
He's been everywhere. He
is 14.5. He is off the board.
He was in baseball over the summer. Now he's in football.
And he's on the bench.
And there's a name you're used to seeing from the waiver wire.
Yeah, Boston Scott. So it's time for the sad picks. It's the kicker and the defense. We're just going
to remember from 16-team leagues that you look on the waiver wire, you don't have anything on the waiver wire because you already picked everything on the waiver wire.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough situation. So wrapping up with the Saints defense on my part. And then we'll go over our rosters here in just a second as Joel takes his final pick, which I believe should be a kicker, which he takes Will Lutz. And that's going to wrap up this mock draft. We're not going to convert this to a lead because, well, it's a mock draft. So,
only thing is I miss is what are our grades?
Yeah, we won't get that on this one. So, to go over our lineups, we'll start with mine because that's where it defaulted here. Quarterback 1, Baker Mayfield, Zeke Elliott, Javonte Williams, the running backs, Terry McLaurin and Chris Godwin, the wide receivers, Jared Cook at tight end, Chase Claypool, the flex, Jake Elliott, the New Orleans Saints defense. Then on the bench, Damian Harris, David Johnson, Darnell Mooney, Tua Tagovailoa, Sony Michel, and Anthony Ferkshire. I really like my bench here. I feel like I've got 3 starting running backs on my bench. It gives me a lot of depth, especially because Javonte Williams may not be the starter right off the bat. Joel, what did you do?
Oh, well, it just sort of always tough when you're dealing with this many teams. Had to go with a running back. I guess it's just sort of a variant of what I used to do back in the day of RB, WRQB, RB, WRTE, just because I realized that had to expand out and not because I know you tend to think if you're in a 10-team league or even a 12-team league, it's RB, 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 then WR, WR, WR. But when you had this many teams, you just cannot be that stringent with your thinking. You have to be, okay, we've got to start thinking depth across the roster and not just in 1 or 2 positions. Because if we get locked up on one of those 2 positions, we're going to find we're totally screwed later on.
Yeah, to go over Joel's lineup, quarterback Justin Fields. This is a rookie-laden team, by the way. Justin Fields at quarterback, running back 1, Jonathan Taylor, running back 2, Myles Gaskin. At the wide receiver spot, Justin Jefferson with Devontae Smith of the Eagles, another rookie. Tight end, rookie, Kyle Pitts. In the flex, rookie Trey Sermon. Will Lutz and the Ravens defense round out the starting lineup. Robert Tonyan at tight end, Jonnu Smith at tight end. Rookie quarterback Zach Wilson, then Devontae Booker, Christian Kirk, and Boston Scott to round out the roster. So with that being said, let's try and minimize this crap. We'll look at the draft board and kind of see if there's any opportunities we wish we could have gotten a little bit different of an outcome. And for me, it was that 4th round. I would have really liked for Gaskin or Robinson to fall. You took Gaskin at 4.8. Robinson went 4.9. My pick was at 4.12. I kind of got pigeonholed into Javonte Williams, but I think getting Harrison, Duke, David Johnson a little bit later, and Sony Michel in the 12th really gives me some flexibility. That's really the big issue I have with this team is I don't love my number 2 running back, but Zeke, McLaurin, Godwin, I'm very comfortable with. And I think Mayfield, Cook, Mooney, I've got some guys that have a lot of upside.
If I would have been able to use the reality Thanos ring and do something different, I think rather than Kyle Pitts, who just seems to be my mock tight end, I don't know why. It's just every year you have that player that just seems to be like, again, instead of that, might have wanting to pop over the multiverse and instead take a quarterback early and go, of course, with Murray, just to sort of switch it up and do things a little bit differently to maybe bring back the RBTE QB as opposed to TE.
Yeah, unfortunately for you, Murray and Jackson going just a couple picks right in front of you here in the 3rd round, and then it just kind of went crazy on the quarterbacks on the way back with Wilson and Herbert at a minimum.
You'll literally never know when the quarterback train is going to happen. You're waiting for it. Then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah. Woo, get on or get run over by it. Because if you don't get on at the right time, you could fall very far. And I'm not saying Mayfield or Tagovailoa are bad options, but they're not the 1A, 1B you're looking for. I'd have been happier getting a Tannehill or a Stafford instead of Mayfield. Even a Matt Ryan, but that didn't fall quite the way I wanted it to. Had my opportunities, but all in all, a good practice mock draft. We'll do the real thing, the 16-teamer. Again, this is all said and done right now, only been a 19-minute mock draft, which I don't know if we get through the first 3 rounds in 19 minutes tomorrow in the 16-team league. It's going to be a fun day. It's going to be a long, fun day. Get on a plane, fly 3 hours, have to scramble, set up a mobile studio, figure out if I'm going to use this headset or if I'm going to have someone co-hosting or commentating with me on site in addition to Joel.
Probably cast a lot of expletives at inanimate objects. I'm going to take a wild guess.
We'll see how that goes, but we'll get it all set up. We'll get it on the air. We will be back tomorrow with both the Sports Shuffle fans draft at 6:30. That one should take roughly 45 minutes to an hour.
I also noticed you circumvented the little hiccup of not being able to get the best ball draft on because of the web version.
Yeah, the best ball doesn't work, but the draft here does work, which is a good thing. I mean, we can always do a mock draft here, or even if we ever have a sleeper league, a live draft, this works a lot better than the second camera is going to have to be in the corner of the screen, over here tomorrow.
And I believe you have somebody hoping that you have a good time.
Yes, that is my mom. Shout out to my mom. We will have a great time in Massachusetts, and we will hopefully have successful drafts as well for once, because last year did not go as well as we were hoping for. So again, 6:30 will be on just before that with the Sports Shuffle fans 10-team draft, 45 minutes to an hour on that. We will take a quick break, come back just before 8 p.m. for the League of Winning 16-team draft. That is a marathon. That is going to take at least an hour and a half. So yeah, it's going to be a long night of drafting. It's going to be a long weekend of drafting. I've got 2 tomorrow. I had 1 today while golfing. I'll get into that with my final thoughts and kind of go over that team as well. Joined an 11th league for this season because I'm a masochist who just doesn't know how to say no.
Did you have either a better golf game or a better draft?
I had a much better golf game. We're in a 2-week championship. You can get 3 points a week. We're up, I believe, 3-0. The final scoring has to be tabulated, but knowing the scores we got, we're up 3-0. And so we need just half a point next week to win the whole thing. But drafting while, I guess I'll jump into my final thought. Drafting while playing golf, I thought it was going to be a big hindrance. I thought it was going to be a big negative. I thought it was going to be a distraction. I won every single hole I played while drafting, which was a total of 3. There was actually a very, very quick draft. To go over how my team shook out there, I'm not thrilled with it, but I did some things that I don't normally do. This is not one of my more serious leagues. So I was like, let me try something. Let me see how things fall. Maybe I'll be happy with where this turns out. So, Joel, I know I sent you the screenshot of this earlier, but I want to go over it a little bit more. Let me hide this and hide this one because we don't really need all of that anymore as we are done with that mock draft. And so, yeah, I showed you my team. I didn't get any feedback, so I guess I'll get it live, and it'll be probably super hurtful. But quarterback was Jalen Hurts, not someone I'm high on, but I waited a very long time. I was ready to take Prescott, went the pick before me. Ready to take Jackson, went the pick before me. Ready to take all these guys, and they just kept going. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get other players. Running backs were James Robinson and J.K. Dobbins.
You should change your team name to the pick before me.
Yeah, no, this one is a work league, so I have to have a kind of PC name. Yeah, it's fine. Running backs, James Robinson, J.K. Dobbins. Pretty happy with both of those. I think they'll have good seasons. I went wide receiver early, which is not something I do normally. Went Devontae Adams and DK Metcalf. I feel like I'm very solid at that position. Logan Thomas is my tight end. That's not too bad. Javonte Williams is right now my flex. That's probably going to change for week 1. Last pick in the draft was the Patriots defense and Buffalo Bills kicker. It's unlike me to take either of the people from that team. On my bench, Myles Gaskin, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Jones Jr., and Antonio Brown. Duke Johnson, once again, who fell pretty late and will be a starter in Houston. Keep that in mind. Ferksker and Tua Tagovailoa. So you see a lot of those same late round guys that we just did the mock draft of. But I think my depth is pretty good. I like my chances in this league. It is a very strange league because there's 11 teams. I don't have a good reason for that, but I have a bye week in week 2. I don't understand that, but I didn't set up the league. There's 5 leagues that are affiliated with this work thing. So I guess there were probably 55 people that signed up. So Joel, how good or how bad was my draft?
I don't know about the whole Jalen Hurts thing, but I mean, you gotta have somebody in there as the quarterback. I do like Metcalf. So quarterback, you might be hurting a little bit on a pun definitely intended, but the then again, I think you have pretty good depth with Robinson. You have Metcalf in there who can just be absolutely explosive. Thomas is a sneaky good pick, kind of a sleeper pick, maybe not one of those names that's really sexy that jumps up and you're like, ooh, 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 yeah, I want him. But hey, and of course, Williams with the Denver with the running backs. I mean, that whole situation is just
He'll end up being the starter at some point. It may not be week 1. Like I said, he may not be my week 1 flex play, but I think week 9, week 10, he's going to be a reliable starter.
And also, definitely, as you mentioned, Dobbins, sort of you kind of like, yeah, I don't know, that whole another running game definitely questionable. It would be the Baltimore Ravens.
They've got a great running game. It's just how much of it's going to be vultured by Lamar Jackson. They're going to run the ball like crazy. 2 of the top 4 rushing seasons in NFL history the last 2 years. It's just how much that's going to go to Dobbins, how much that's going to go to Lamar, and then the rest be spread out amongst Gus Edwards and other people. That's the concern with Dobbins is it's not going to be just him. If it's just him, that's a steal in the 3rd round.
And the main thing for your entire team is what is the first half of the fantasy season, not the regular season. What is the first half of the fantasy season going to be for Hurts? Is it going to be consistent? Is he going to get production? Is he going to get you fantasy points? Or is it going to be disappointment?
For what it's worth, Jameis Winston did not get drafted in this league. I almost took him at the place I took Tagovailoa later. I may drop one of them. They both have a bye week at 14, but I can fix that later. Jalen Hurts opens the season, though, at Atlanta. I like the odds to start the season at least on a good note. James Robinson playing Houston, who has a terrible, terrible run defense, and it got worse.
What's the one cheer you never hear in Atlanta? Defense.
You do hear it, but it's more like, come on, defense, please. Just one time. Make one tackle.
It's more like never mind.
Defense? Can Matt Ryan play defense? I don't know. Yeah. The other thing you won't hear in Atlanta is, oh, that was a great run, because they don't have a running back this year. So that was my draft. I'm not thrilled with it, but I think it'll be competitive enough where, given a given week, it's going to be tough.
Which draft will be better? We shall see. That one or Ryan's 16-teamer tomorrow.
Whoa.
On
pure talent would be the 10-teamer just because, or the 11-teamer, whatever. Just because there's less distribution, but all in all, it's going to be, I'm hoping the 16-teamer is a better roster for the league it's in.
The 10.5-teamer?
Yeah, the 11-team league where everybody has a bye week. It's going to be fun. I've never been in a league where you have a bye week that wasn't earned in the playoffs. So to each their own. I didn't set it up again. Not my plan. I just signed up and drafted while beating the hell out of somebody at golf. I only won by 12 strokes in a 6-1 hole margin, if my math is correct. So in 9, I should say, in 9 holes. So, all right, that's going to be my final thought. Just talking about my draft, my golf game, and being half a point from a first ever golf title for work. And that comes with a nice little paycheck as well. So anyways, Joel, final thoughts from you. We'll wrap this one up quick.
It's kind of interesting when you're having Austin Eckler offers a big incentive for fantasy players. I had a feeling
this is where you were going.
To draft him. Yeah, the Chargers running back is saying he'd pick himself number 1 because I can't imagine any fantasy player out there, any professional tackle football player out there going, you know what? Don't draft me. I'm going to suck. I'm going to have a very bad year. So I tell you, you have that. In contrast, you have Stephon Diggs out there going, 15K is a lot of money. And everybody out there going, maybe not to you. So it's just another reminder that they live in a completely different world than we do, because we're the ones drafting them. They're the ones going, I would pick me at number 1. So go ahead and draft me. So that's my somewhat convoluted final thought. But I just saw that and I'm like going, okay, that's sort of a little dub-E-ish.
Yeah, so if you draft Austin Eckler, just to kind of give the full background of this, if you draft and win your championship with Austin Eckler, send him a screenshot of your roster that you won the championship with him, and he will send you and every other winner a signed jersey of himself. And I don't think he understands just how many people play fantasy football, because the
That
odds of only a
is
handful of
a
people winning with him.
few jerseys.
Yeah, he's going to be costing the Chargers organization a lot of money, unless maybe he changes his number and get some of those old ones that maybe they're out of stock. I'm
Or
not
maybe,
gonna be 30
some
anymore.
of those knockoffs, cough, the kind you see on social media.
Yeah, I mean, technically the ones behind me are not authentic either, so they just look really close to it. You couldn't tell, and if I didn't tell you. So, anyways, with that being said, that's our final thoughts. If you draft Austin Eckler, hopefully you win a jersey, but I don't have Eckler anywhere, so I kind of hope nobody wins a jersey. But that's just me. So we will be back again tomorrow, roughly 6:20, 6:25 for the 6:30 draft to start.
For the long and winding draft that ever leads. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
And then 7:50 to 7:55 will be a start time for the League of Winning 16-teamer. That's going to be a while. The text reminders have been sent out today. So everybody that I can reach out to in these leagues should be aware that it is coming up. And hopefully we get full participation this year. 16-teamer is unlikely, but we shall see. But we will be back tomorrow. I'll be back in a different state. And it's going to be interesting. It really is.
Hopefully not a state of shock.
I am just hoping that my team does not suck once again, because last year was not a good year for either of these leagues. There were some good ones. There were some bad ones. These were two.
Maybe after your current draft, a state of denial.
Yeah. So we'll see. This as we go to the draft all 11 teams that I'm going to be a part of this year. I went from 8 to 9 to 10 to 11 very, very quickly. And I have a problem. I understand that. But hey, some people have a problem with crack. I have a problem with fantasy football. And frankly, I think I'm coming out ahead on this one.
There are worse addictions to have in this world.
Yes. I could quote a movie about drug use and rehab where Bob Saget has an iconic line. Have you ever done something for weed? I've never done that for fantasy football either. So if you don't know the line, just Google it. You'll find it. It's Bob Saget yelling at Dave Chappelle. Have you ever done something for weed? Look it up on your own time. That's your homework assignment. And we gone.